water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the three seasons lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the license games attacked. Only the YouTubers, masters of all things gaming, could stop them, but when the world needed them most, they vanished. Several years passed and the internet discovered a new YouTuber, a channel called Idej Gaming, and although his gaming skills are great, he has a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone. But I believe Idej Gaming can save the world. We finally come to the final video game based on Avatar: The Last Airbender, Into the Inferno. Released in October 2008 for PlayStation 2, Nintendo Wii, and Nintendo DS, this game is based on the third season of the show as Aang prepares to finish his training and battle the Fire Lord. The cast of the show returned again for this game as well as Douglas Kerrigan as director. The game begins with a recap of the end of Season 2 of the show. You know, the part we didn't get to see in the last game.
Previously on Avatar.
I need you, Zuko. I've plotted every moment of this day, and the only way we win is together.
Immediately, this game looks much better than the previous installment, with the characters' mouths actually moving when they talk. It is surprising how good the characters look in these Nintendo-style 3D models. After the recap, Aang wakes up on a Fire Nation ship that the group commandeered as they come under attack. We see quickly that the combat system not only wasn't improved upon from the last game, but has actually been made worse. This game was designed primarily for the Nintendo Wii, as the player has to use motion controls to pick up the elements and move them at enemies. In theory, this sounds like a fun idea, but the Wii's motion controls were far from perfect, making using these controls very slow and unresponsive most of the time. It's much easier to just run up to the enemies and hit the A button to attack. I am glad though that I did play this game on the Wii because I could not imagine how frustrating it would be to try and bend the elements in combat using a PS2 controller. Like the previous game, this one also does not have any way to block enemy attacks, so you're going to end up dying a lot from glitchy enemy attacks again. It is really sad to see the developers did not try and improve this combat at all when transitioning to the Wii's motion controls, and it feels like they didn't even playtest it to make sure it works. After repelling the attack, the group goes to a Fire Nation village that's being polluted by a nearby weapons factory. Aang and Katara go to destroy the factory and come across 3 boilers that they have to destroy. However, the game gives you no clues on how to actually destroy these things. Apparently, you have to use water bending to fill these containers that then weighs down covers over the exhaust ports on the boilers, and when you pull a lever, it causes the boiler to explode. To be honest, I had to look up a guide on how to do this because I had no clue what I was doing. The first 2 aren't too hard, but the third one, the containers leak water out of them, meaning you have to constantly refill them and race against the clock to get them filled at just the right time and pull the lever. I tried this for nearly 20 minutes because I couldn't get them filled at the same time, but finally I was able to just barely get it and destroy the facility. Aang then goes out onto a dock and has a very confusing combat section against some incoming boats with firebenders on them. Again, the game gives you no clue on how to defeat these guys. Finally, after watching another guide, I found out that you have to create a block of ice for the boats to crash into. The game hadn't shown me yet that this was something that I could do, so how was I supposed to know that? Afterwards, Katara finishes off the guy who was running the factory and we cut to the Day of Black Sun invasion. In the show, this was the mid-season epic where the group takes advantage of a solar eclipse to attack the Fire Nation while they're powerless. Here, it's just level 3. This is when I started to realize this game was going to be a very short experience, which, with how bad the motion controls and combat are, I wasn't too upset about. In this part, Sokka and Toph try to invade a Fire Nation tower. It became apparent pretty quickly that Sokka was the best designed character in the game. He has this one move where he throws his boomerang at an enemy and then hits him with the sword that he got in Season 3, a cool part of the show that the game left out, to kill them. It's a quick way to kill enemies that's actually fun, unlike most of the other combat in the game. Aang and Toph make their way to the Fire Lord's chamber but find Azula instead.
Your days of tyranny are over, Ozai! Huh?
Very dramatic, Avatar. Truly impressive. Do you remember the Dai Li? They're eager for a rematch.
Now here, we have a mini boss fight against 2 Dai Li agents, which is the most bizarre and confusing boss section I've played in a while. So I want to break it down for you. In the first stage, you use Toph's earthbending to knock the agents off their rock pillars so you can hit them. After a couple repetitions of this, you come to a section of the fight where you have to build your own pillar using Toph's earthbending, switch to Aang, hop on top of the pillar, and then use his airbending to make an airball to knock the agents off the wall while they try and knock you down. To make the airball, though, you have to use the motion-controlled bending system we talked about earlier, which again is very unresponsive, so you have to move your controller in a circular motion that may or may not actually work. So during this section, I was spinning my hands in a circle like Daniel from Karate Kid.
Wax on, wax off.
This section took me another 15 minutes to beat after I looked up another guide, as Zuko comes in to save Aang and Toph and help them escape.
The game's up, Azula! Where's Ozai?
Oh, the game is just getting started, little Avatar.
Zuko?
My father's not here, Avatar. I'll help you escape, but we have to leave now.
Let's go!
Now, usually I don't like it when games change the story from the show that they're based on, but here I understand it, as it does streamline things, and in the context of the game, it makes more sense for Zuko to join the gang here, instead of waiting a while longer for him to actually be a good guy. The next level has Zuko and Sokka go back for those that were captured at the end of the invasion on the Day of Black Sun, which we didn't actually see happen in the game. Even more so than the last game, this one does not care at all about telling the full story of what's going on, only hitting the high points and letting the assumed fans of the show fill in the holes themselves. Because, telling the whole story would have taken effort. The pair sneaks into the prison and rescues their friends, but Azula and Ty Lee catch up with them as they escape. And this is probably the best boss battle in the game. You have to dodge Ty Lee's cartwheel attacks until she gets tired, and also avoid Azula's spinning lightning attacks. The only problem I have with this one is one that I have with all the boss battles in this game. There's no health bar for the boss visible to the player, so you have no idea how much progress you're making in the battle. It would have been super easy to put this in, and it's something that's pretty common in most other games, even at the time that this game was released. So I honestly have no idea why they didn't do that. This boss battle is immediately followed by another one with Sokka and Toph going up against Combustion Man. It's an easy, straightforward fight, so I had a good time with it. We cut to Aang and Zuko at the ruins of an air temple where Aang looks for the Chamber of Elements so he can talk to Avatar Roku. After exploring a bit and solving some puzzles, Aang is able to find the chamber and talk to Roku.
Aang,
Roku?
your training is complete. You're ready to face the Fire Lord.
What? How? Roku, you don't understand. I can't bring myself to kill anyone, not even Ozai.
Justice need not always be severe, Aang. You will know what to do when the time comes. Now go. Time is short.
We now go to the final level, Sozin's Comet, which in the show was the epic 4-part series finale that honestly is some of the best television ever created in my opinion. The first part of this level has Katara and Zuko fighting Azula, in another boss fight that was surprisingly pretty fun. Here you use Zuko's firebending to put out the fires that Azula is using to protect her, and then use Katara's waterbending to knock her out. After Azula is taken care of, Katara goes to join Aang as he takes on the Fire Lord in the epic final battle, which was sadly pretty lackluster. Again, the developers shoehorned in the broken bending system, and here the Fire Lord uses firebending to keep you from getting close and just hitting him regularly. So you just hop around like Peter Rabbit until he throws all his fire at you and then run up and hit him. For what was supposed to be an epic climax, I really wish they would have designed a more interesting and compelling fight. Aang eventually defeats the Fire Lord as we get our final cutscene.
It's over?
It's time to pay for what you've done, Father.
I am the Phoenix King. I will destroy you all.
Are you gonna eat that?
So, Fire Lord, what are your plans for the future?
We're going to rebuild our relationships with the other kingdoms. Together. What about you, Avatar? What are your plans?
You know, I'm not sure. But what I am sure of is that things are definitely looking up.
So that was Avatar: The Last Airbender Into the Inferno. I can't really say I liked the game, but there were some moments where I legit was having a good time. The graphics are much improved compared to the first two games, and some of the boss battles were very fun. The combat outside of those boss battles was pretty boring though, and the fact that so much of the story of Season 3 was left out was very disappointing. I mean, even with some of the buggy parts that dragged out the runtime for me, the game took me less than 3 hours to complete. I definitely liked it better than Burning Earth, but honestly I still think the first was the best of these 3 games. If you are a fan of the series, I guess I can recommend it to you if you're able to find it, which isn't easy to do. But just know, it's a very short game and it's not very high quality. But it is where we're going to end Avatar: The Last Airbender month.